In the flameless English suburb, a young girl opens windows onto a brick wall. Sheet of sky enters. No sea, no horizon. Fragments of men own the neighborhood. If you crane your neck into a bird on the ledge of the tonsillitic balcony he slept on as a child, you'll almost see the sea there, behind the American university. The young girl climbs from one window, scales carefully the exterior sill, honeysuckle, silk-cut silver, McDonald's milkshake halfway up the straw, and enters again through the other, in an infinite loop or an ordinary circle. Compulsively she exits and enters, danger, and names this motion being herself. Rooftops puncture the expanding lung of this better life. Pesto, Chicken Kiev's, Channel 5, Paula Danziger, Stephen King, Judy Blume, cotton bud, soap scum, shower cap. We peek inside the neighbor's bathroom to check if we are human too, to check if we are doing it right, to check why no one touches anyone except the people they have sex with, and therein is all their tenderness spent again, the turquoise dome, the emerald guts of a shimmering life made probable. Auntie, auntie, can I be you? Chain-smoking Kit Kats in the bedside pyramid of duty-free Kents. Dangerously nice, slipping out of my mind and down to the southern border. Heavily armed wires attached to my temples at a facility in Eastbourne, where the baby brother's convalescence was funded, where I said yes. Come see the Arab, where I said yes. Soldiers stopped, emerging from toilet bowls, chasing me. I drive faster and faster, all the way to Russia. Brother turns the fist of a Chauncey mango inside out. Feiruz shucks the oyster, scooping sawdust city boy, puts it to his mouth, ignoring mother while the bombs fall into his pockets, flowing with the American current. Yes, Prime Minister, a Sunni since the National Pact. Your life since 48 kept being waiting for it to stop, so you can return home, to work, to your father, to normal, to the dog, left on that patch of earth, in a shaft of settled light, cleansing the fullness of ordinary life catastrophically and without reservation. Bantustan camouflaged invasion is a structure, not an event, by any other name, expansive, exterminating, eliminative, extractive, indicative of genocide is not an emotional claim but a process. The settler is not an immigrant beholden to indigenous laws. Decolonization has no synonym. Apartheid is not a proper noun. It evades and erases its own name, apartheid, but renames with impunity streets and sand dunes casually but targeted as you cower in the roofless kitchen, your arms up, mute, child pins the racist boss against the wall deferentially, hotboxing tiny cars off the M25, listening to Nick, to Jeff, watching porridge under the ungrateful cubicle, slurping fat eels east of the city's coke-dripping body, carried over your shoulder and out of the desert and down to the river, where I saw my well irrigated fromness at last, ever-thirsty farmers in the Jordan Valley, their water siphoned and redirected into a single settlement peach, contains 140 litres of virtual water appropriated from Palestinians, pitching from behind a burning car in West Beirut, a Molotov cocktail in an arc on the trading room floor, gestures towards wealthy classmates' once used textbooks for sale, cream skimmed for the street cats you send me pictures of, thought of olive, zaytune. Of course, the foreigners have made a charity for the cats here, while the legless beg on the curbed stub of national debt, vacationing at a permanent distance from tear gas made in France by SAE Elestex, hurled also at the Gilets jaunes, canisters, CM6 grenades, G1 random motion grenades, impossible to pick up and throw back. Loosen up, you think everything is racist. Annihilation, exploitation, the sand under my desk, the words you hear when they think they are alone, or you or one of them palely photocopying hot pink worksheets in a West London basement, dumbstruck at the words, at the impressed guffaws, at the infected gall of saying it. Come on, we were all thinking it. Doubly my jaw at the word, whose wasp drew twice, no squared, up to the fury, which protects the love, silent at its core. Free, T.L. Lawrence, at sunburned Englishmen with t-shirts on their heads in the summer. Free to sell our labour, free to be part of this glorious system, to know the worth of ourselves. Do we ever mean the same thing with the most important words? But never to a lover. On our knees in bathrooms internationally dependent on a disguise of sovereignty, of nation, French accented father. I've never had a decent pomelo in the UK. What do they do with all that water? We play nice for the American tap. US aid, US aid. Store it in rooftop tanks for IDF soldiers to piss in next door. Collude in the Dead Sea's contraction. Mine for potash and magnesium. 7,000 sinkholes and counting. Surface almost halved since 76. 300 kilometers squared of seabed exposed. The myth blooms beneath the West Bank mountain aquifer, diverts 80% of Ramallah's rain. His citrus orchards, his swimming pools, an orange ball funking in a summer palm, in a city wetter than London. Listener, heed your fantasy. Today there is more blood than water in Gaza. Scarcity is not evenly distributed. When Mekeret charges a West Bank Palestinian more than a settler on their knees and warring neighbours in 18 sects plus immigrants, domestic workers and labourers, haram. Pity keeps the object. 12 men in one room, as long as there is never a cloud in my glass, returning to their quiet yellow cheese and glinting rose gardens, their military avenues slick with marron glacé. They left us this combustible Paris, restructured. Child, you are floating through dusky pink, taupish pre-dark web MDMA, thin-armed and improvising nutrition, at High Easter, St. Faith's Road, SE24, where the kitchen sky was 10,000 swifts to smooth the hair off after they puke into an Iceland bag on the top bunk, sleeping in a pile at 175 Cold Harbour Lane. Rolling backwards in through the first floor window. Child, when will you come back? The chicken is gathering dust. Your tonsils are ringing in love and dedicated primarily to deciphering how the lilac-y pastel of hydrangeas can also be electric. Mama, can't you see? I am busy deciphering how the lilac-y pastel of hydrangeas can also be electric. Mama, I am learning to see. Have you ever seen a bluebell wood? Mother, these English taught me flannels and butter, language and forest. Mother, when was the last time you came here in the spring? You think it is always one colour, a desert, sad, dry. You deny it, me, you, seeing only the impression of a season, then running. Child, you have to be inside the system. Enjoy your flexible passport. I cannot tell you how many passports I have striven for, but you were born a citizen, not alien, not refugee, of this still world before the law changed, fully documented, ingrate, as if it were a universal category, citizen, occupied resident, refugee, foreigner, immigrant, just never a national. When nation is race concealed, colonial difference built up, stand out, blend in, slide into the schema of a luxury and stop taking everything so seriously. Perhaps you were right, because here I am, here, a Palestinian first or nothing, at 38, waiting here, but only until, every morning to be born here, and only because, again with the birds here, it is an expansion. What more could I want? cradling, binding, carrying at least a freedom of feeling, a parakeet, a crow, a pigeon, a witness, not of trade, of speech, but for our living, not to be only a problem to be solved. Look, I was never privately ashamed of really wanting us to really want to be alive, especially that time in Queen's Park, of all places, how it came as an outside feeling, and how I housed it and how it grew, and I became a house with all its windows open, and ivy coming in, and brambles, and it grew, but I could not tell it, that I wanted to be alive. So much so that I understood the desire for immortality, looking into your otter eyes, that I understood on a mattress on Norwood Road, the ceiling bulging with water, that the favourite psychic chokehold of this place is humiliating that feeling into silence, cynicism, bumbling, acceptance, apology, passivity, control, into smashing the glass against the wall, and the chair against the door, and the head against the shaking clutch of nerves, those noises. Dull, damp, afraid, big boys making a mess of language, mistaking erudition for truth. Scholarship without commitment is just commerce, commitment without love is just posturing, to assume you are adding to the world by filling it, by pinning it down, by force, you are taking more away. To fix things as they are is not to heal your frightened heart. Little man, how can you speak at all? At least I know I'm terrified of saying anything out loud. When I learned one of my favourite flowers was just the name of the man who pointed at it hardest, and in that pointing claiming, and in that claiming naming, I imagined every flower and plant and creature and tree was only an anagram of blue-eyed Adam, of God. Father, the garden's withered. I made a vow of silence very loudly, and threw language to the ocean, then spent my life swimming. So how could I speak without knowing the history of each word's world and each world's words? I would have to understand motion. This gorging, this hoarding, how can we divest from this economy that thwarts us, banking on our terror of the gorgeous void, which only liars fear, that makes touch possible? For without air there is no fire to stay beside, eviscerating emptiness that knows the way, that is the way, the guide, the fire I stay beside, and name that staying I, and name that I witness, and name that witness those three little worlds every girl is dying to hear. I don't know. In the first person plural, I don't know, but I want to make it with you. That outside feeling grew, but I could not tell it. Especially your friends bear down on language. I do it too. We go around ripping each other's tongues out from the roots, the radial beam, spit blood up into the gutter outside Sainsbury's Waterloo, turning our pockets out for ourselves, for our friends, sleeping to death in the street. Oh freedom, oh system, oh eco washing up liquid. Clean us back into the garden, with the lowly hand strip us of what keeps pressed down. The most crucial feeling is imagining, dismissed as fantasia, as madness, medicated, which as it rises is caught and redirected into a slim-line care of only the perimeter of self, as if our veins ended in us. The local boundary bolstered by its attendants, the partner and the tenderizing lover, the community, the tribe calculating degree of deviance and how to quell it, how to make it fecund and compatible. The home wherein it perishes, bedsore and flatulent, with comfort, with need, flung and faded, pressed against the photocopier, fumbling, thrilled, lays down at the surface of skin only, as if our veins ended in us. An abyss, what? You think you are too good for our sorrow variations, containing so much at the top of the stairs, this adolescent foreigner meeting your eye. Oh, you and your sea, what? Because you live in the west, that blind spot, slaughtering. Your life is better than an English dog's, never having to see itself. At least summers are hot in your country. What country? What country? Oh, fire, eviscerate, water cull. Emilia, I saw that man on Blythe Hill Fields trying to fly again, and enjoyed my cavities and mealtimes best alone. Look, don't worry. I have my little fears percolating behind my every blinking eye, but I am not hallucinating just because I hear everything twice or more. I thought it's what you wanted too. This being here, it vacillates for both of us. I think the managers are global after all. I am well practiced in wanting what hates me. Baba, I don't want saving, not even after work, not even beneath the lavender sky exposing the lie of geography at the periphery's core. 3 words can say it: drinkable tap water. But when I send you an article about Flint, Michigan, USA, you do not know where to file it, because then there really is no place left on earth at all, and you will have to concede, and concede to me, the baby of the family and a girl. Thank you.